forged from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer. With boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio. NETT Radio.
Anything you want is yours. Come and let me care, me bumper. Love it how you wind your body on me, and you roll up on it and brace. I wanna hold on the thing on there, and I love it the way you turning me on. Yeah, yeah, oh you turning me on. Yeah, keep your eyes on me, rolling back on the you could see this thing fast. Full permission for you to skip the line. Permission for you to take the ride. I don't like holding back. If I bounce on you, bounce right back. Full permission for you to come inside. You can stay for a while. I don't wanna play no more. Boy, oh, you walk on my short time. Anything you want is yours. Come and let me care, me bumper. Love it how you wind your body on me, and you roll up on it and brace. I wanna hold on the thing on there, and I love it the way you turning me on. With the tightest grip, certain man them can't manage it, all. Yeah, some of them are no timing. You're real best, you have no stress. On to the next, hey. I done my that, so tell me what you're waiting for. I don't wanna play no more. Why you walk on my short time? Anything you want is yours. Come and let me care, me bumper. Love it how you wind your body on me, and you roll up on it and brace. I wanna hold on the thing on there, and I love it the way you turning me on. Yeah, boy, you turning me on. Yeah, to skip the line. Permission for you to take the ride. I don't like holding back. If I bounce on you, bounce right back. Full permission for you to come inside. You can stay for a while. I don't wanna play no more. Why you walk on my short, yeah. Anything you want is yours. Come and let me kill me bumper. Love it how you wind your body on me. And you roll up on it and brace. I wanna hold on me thing from there. And I'm loving the way you turning me on.
Wake up, rise up. It's the NETT Radio Breakfast Show. Bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
I don't wanna play no more.
Well, as they say, you know what? Get familiar, yes. Carnival 2026 is here.
You wind your body on me.
Good morning to you, Trinidad. Good morning to Tobago. Neighbors in the Caribbean, good day to you. How you doing?
The way you turn.
People who are streaming all around the globe, our friends and our family,
Oh, you're telling me.
different spaces, different time zones, and you're coming in this morning. Oh, it's so good to be in your company.
Back only you could see this thing.
Let me take the opportunity to welcome you all to New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio,
The ride. I don't like holding
Heartbeat of the Caribbean, and of course, yes, we take you above and beyond.
to come inside. You can stay.
Good looking Tuesday morning it is.
Play no more.
Let me say much thanks to the Heavenly Father for bringing us together for another day, and everything that we do, dear God, let it be a blessing, honor to you.
Body on me.
Sir Charles, yes, that is me. Happy am I to be in your company in this space.
And I'm loving the way you turning me.
And welcome to the Get Up and Go. People, this is your breakfast show.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The breakfast show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line. Let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Oh, oh, good vibes rolling through the air. The breakfast show energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles or your morning drink.
Good morning, and welcome to the Breakfast Show on this Tuesday morning. That seems not bad as yet, at least it's not rainy or anything. I'm not so sure if we're expecting rain this morning. But you know what? So far, it's a beautiful morning, and good morning to all our listeners and viewers wherever you are across the planet. We know you have a choice, and we are glad that you chose us, and we are thankful for that. So thank you. And of course, a special good morning to my co-host, Sir Charles. Good morning, Sir Charles.
Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Wendell, wherever you may be this morning. And of course, good morning to all the people coming in from your different spaces and platforms. And glad to be here with you this morning. Feeling really good to be in your company. Yeah, we're here. Another day.
Yep. I mean, a lot's happening. I mean, in terms of Trinidad and Tobago, at least in terms of the increasing tensions in the area, and there was a lot of speculation, at least on social media last night, about some helicopters that were flying low. I know David West put it up that in Diego Martin, a helicopter was flying low. I know in parts of Arima, there was a helicopter flying low without usually they have that kind of spotlight, but you won't see that spotlight. So any activity like that gets people concerned as to what is going on. So I know some of that happened last night. I suppose people who in the Diego Martin area, Diego Martin or Pity Valley or Western areas may verify what David said. Because I saw David's post on it. So it's all part of the tensions, I suppose, with regard to the U.S. presence in the area, and of course the escalating tensions between him and Maduro. Even though, to be fair, President Trump did indicate that they may be in some discussions with President Maduro of Venezuela. So we'll see how that plays out. And so that kind of
Mm-hmm. Hello? Okay, I'm kind of lost you a little bit there, Richard. Check the microphone and come back inside. Yeah. But yeah, so there is a lot that is taking place, and people will definitely not be too comfortable with all that's taking place. Our friend down there in Point 14 always sends pictures of drones passing over their area and stuff like that. So plenty is happening in the area, and I don't know if to say all that is expected, but we watch and see how it's going.
Yeah. Well, I know connected to all of that, Dr. Rowley had a press conference yesterday that sought to address, it was a virtual press conference that sought to address some of those issues connected to that situation. But before we get into all of that, because we're getting kind of into the hardcore stuff that's taking place in the region, let's, I don't know if you have any birthdays today, Sir Charles.
No, not at this point in time. Later on in the week. I only have one birthday actually this week already, actually, Yeah.
You don't have a birthday today?
No, nothing. I don't have anything today. You have stuff today?
No. But I didn't check, so but
Okay.
nothing came up in my thing. But I'll have to check and see. But anyway, let's get into the good news. Because I kind of got into some of the topics without getting into the good news first. So let's get into our good news for this morning.
Sometimes the nicest people that we meet smoke, drink, party. And sometimes the most evil people that we meet go to church on Sundays, preaching kindness, but practicing cruelty. Don't judge anyone on the surface. Judge them right here, on the inside.
Yeah, that's a little good news reminding you to be a good human being.
Yeah, that's a short and 20-point good news. That's a statement.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah. A lot of people, get caught up in dogma and all kind of crap of what they feel is right, and then they in church saying God and singing whatever they sing, and professing to be the biggest advocate of whatever faith. And then they say the most odious and horrible things. No, it doesn't work so.
Yeah. And and there's a lot of truth in it, because sometimes you see things happen, and a lot of people's personal experiences when they experience certain things. People who are close to you don't be there for you. People who hardly know you stand up with you, do things for you. Those who are close to you cut your throat, all kind of madness, So, yeah.
Yeah. So that good news today was courtesy Marla and Motley. He sent it to me yesterday. And, I said, yeah, that's a good news to do, because it kind of re-emphasizes that issue of being, it's kind of, sometimes it's difficult for some people to be just kind human beings, because in this world, it's so fashionable to be unkind in a kind of way.
Yeah.
I'm using kind a lot there, boy. But because of how easy it is to say nasty things on social media, how easy and fashionable it is to say things that are on the surface of it cruel and all to make an impact to get people to watch your content and stuff like that, which we talk about all the time, and we see it now being exhibited in leaders across the planet, where they say some things and you're like, what? And when I say across the planet, I even mean in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean and wherever. I just talking generally, leadership has taken a turn to from some leaders to say whatever they feel as if there is no consequence to words. And words, can have consequences.
Yeah.
But you learned that from a small child, so I don't know, like many adults didn't get that lesson, I guess. But I certainly got that lesson. And I know many people who did, that words have consequences.
Yeah. And maybe most, like things like that, more of that needs to come across. Maybe it will start to resonate with people a little more, because you're right. I mean, when you see it, and especially with the advancement of social media and stuff, because things that were hidden are now in people's faces, and sometimes people post things, and you're wondering, but they too ready post that, and find it very pleasurable in posting some really vile and very nasty things. So it really makes you wonder where we're going.
Yeah, and it's not just unique to Trinidad and Tobago. It's a global kind of thing where people can feel like they can see whatever and laugh at some things that are not funny at all. Yeah. That I find not funny. I don't know what people are finding funny about it.
Yeah,
and I like a good laugh. Me, I like a good laugh, but it has to be funny.
Yeah. But really and truly also, Richard, people, it have people who really, some people tell you some of their personal stories. Sometimes you see people like, if you ever, there was this guy I used to sit down with on Park Street. He's a homeless guy. And when these are the invisible people that we pass them every now and then, and you might have something, you give them something to eat, but don't take time out. And I would meet him time to time and sit down with him, and he will tell you some stories and about himself and family and stuff, and why he's on the road and all that sort of thing. And he's more comfortable there, and he don't want to go back home, regardless of how much you tell him, see if we can fix it now. No, he's good there because this is his safe space now, he feels that, and because of things people have said and done.
Yep. But before we start meeting people in our stream, we should recognize the death of, iconic, what should I say? How should I put that? Restaurateur? Is that how you would put it, Charles?
That is Pancho talking about, right?
Yeah, Pancho.
Yeah.
Because Pancho has been around forever.
Yes.
It seems to me like it's been forever. I wasn't a freak one, because where Pancho was situated, I've gone in a couple of times, and I've bought food there already, but where I was generally working, it was not close.
Mm-hmm.
But I have gone in there a couple of times, and you could just
something with your microphone is just kind of clipping off. I don't know what is causing. Yeah, but two individuals really and truly, they're like cornerstones in Port of Spain when it comes to the food business. They've been there for years, So when you talk about it, you talk Mano, you talk about Pancho.
Yep.
If you work in and around Port of Spain for years, you would know these two individuals.
Yeah, you would know those two for sure.
Yeah.
So
condolences to Mano, because it was they were like, you talk about more than ring and finger, Richard.
Yep.
Talk about two brothers who were really close. Really, really close, Mano and Pancho. Really want to send out some condolences to Mano, passing of his brother.
Yeah. And to, of course, family and friends, and by extension, so many people who love both places on a morning. I still maintain Mano's makes the best sada and pak choy. I love their sada and pak choy. I do. That was one thing I always used to get when we were in brick and mortar buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Love the Southern Back Joy. And Bodhi. The Bodhi is also good. But anyway, so condolences to the family of Pancho, friends and family of Pancho, and you will be missed.
Definitely.
So let's go into the stream at this point. I'm starting off with Anthony Tinto, Grand Rising to the Breakfast Crew and to all locked on. Valerie Mendoza, good morning to the breakfast team. Margaret Thomas, good morning. Josie Richardson, good morning. Susan Jessup says praises and almighty unto his God and his son Jesus Christ. Or she didn't say Suzette Gemma and all of that. There she says. Good morning, Sir Charles Richard Wendell. For love from Suzanne Sujat and Mrs. Gemma. Thank you, Suzanne.
Morning, ladies.
Boy Bidesi, good morning. Brennan Smith says good morning. Felix Kazo, Eunice Dublin, good morning. Manuel Peters, good morning to everyone. Have a blessed day. Good morning to you. James Kamau, grand morning, Sir Eva Smith. Blessed morning, Richard and Sir Charles. Locked on. Have a wonderful day. James Kamau says Grand Rising TNT. We now found the rest of the keyboard. Michael Cadet says good morning. Slick Money Grip says good morning.
Morning, Slick.
Sherwin Kerr and Juliet Kerr. Good morning, guys. K. George says good morning. Trudy Mill Kitchen says good morning. Marlon Motley, good morning, Marlon. Dan Payne says good morning. Prabha Ramdial says good morning. Debbie Modest, good morning. And she says, and have a wonderful day. Erica Charles says good morning. Moing 555, good morning. Doreen Pierce says blessings to the breakfast guys. Ossie Molino, good morning, guys. And of course, this is Ingrid from Arizona. I wasn't sure who it was. Good morning, Ingrid. Ilarazian says good morning, guys. Dave Gosine, good morning to you, sir. Rena Jennings, good morning, Rena. Robert Taylor says good morning. Good morning, Robert. Lambert Bruce says good morning. Sherma Paul says good morning. Merle McComie, says good morning. Carl Guevara, good morning, Carl. Odell Guy, good morning. Richard Jeremiah, good morning to you,
RG, boy. Good morning to RG, man.
Brent Hackshaw, good morning. Debbie Mitchell. Joyce Phillips, because she says good morning, guys. Carla Hercules, good morning, Carla. Bernadette Yeats, she says good morning to Wendell, Sir Charles, and myself. Garvin Frank says good morning. Rena Jennings, what you said? Yes, I heard the 2 U.S. Planes flying last night. Looked how they flew with no lights. Planes, she said.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any planes. Anyway, Doreen Pierre and in Manzanilla last evening, there were helicopters flying low. So you see, it wasn't just an arena. Good morning, says Bernadette Yeats. DL7791 says good morning, all. David McCarthy said good morning. Florence Bazzi says good morning and thank you. Scorpion Pepper says good morning. Melchizedek, good morning. Ambrose Blanc says good morning to the crew. Okay, Beauty Culture says good morning, guys. Old Lady 8135, blessed morning. God is still on the throne.
I like handling old lady.
Nicola McNichols says good morning. Good morning, Nicola. Rena Jennings, okay, she is making a comment. Trinidad Margot. Oh God, conversation start. Lord, okay. All right, Debbie Mitchell says, my condolences to the Pancho family. I pray that God will continue giving this family and friends comfort and strength in this time of bereavement. Julia, Samantha, good morning, guys. That's Julia S. Batiste. Chelsea Blue. Is it Blue? Yeah, Chelsea Blue. Good morning. What's this now? Okay, the message was repeated. Carol Guevara asking a question. David Wares, good morning, all. Condolences, family and friends of Pancho. As a guardian photographer, I practically ate breakfast every day. There is tuna and stewed liver and sada was precious.
What your guardian people is a real pack up by Pancho.
Like, it's right there.
They didn't own Pancho, you know. So David Wares.
It's their neighbor.
Yes. Whole media network.
Yeah. So D-Mark says, good morning. If I was working guardian, that's where I'd go to. Good morning, Susan Jessup. Beauty and Culture. Richard, I was watching the helicopters flying low yesterday evening and late last night. Sadrina, Bag and Charles, good morning. Good morning, ma'am. CJ from New York, good morning, CJ. How you going? And
Hey,
D-Mark,
CJ is also sending anniversary greetings to Zena. Remember, Zena celebrated 51 years.
over the weekend,
yesterday.
yeah. So D-Mark K3, good morning. But you just said that. Marva Williams says, good morning. Good morning, Marva. Nicole McNichols, she's talking about, the helicopters that were flying last night. I was first made aware, actually, by David, and then I started to hear Janari. Call it Colted Finch, Stellar Services, and let's see who this is. Miguel Gonzalez says, good morning. He said, by the way, Trinidad's last game is tonight. Although they're out of the World Cup, please come out and support them. Absolutely. And Cheryl Henry, Ekaro, good morning to all on the chat, and happy anniversary, Zena, and may God continue to bless your marriage for many years to come. So that's it for all of the people in the stream. I don't know if you have any people on your WhatsApp that you want to say good morning to, Sir Charles.
Yeah. So let me say good morning to Kent in Lavender, Callan and Kelly early on the chat this morning. Also, Archbishop Ashton Clark. Archbishop, it's really cold up in Canada, I understand. Suzanne and is also here. Captain Ron is here also. Mr. Beeps in Pity Valley. Shamid is here sending greetings. Brenda in Penal, good morning to you. Shoma Paul is sending greetings from her grandson, Cristiano. He's locked on also, so good morning to Cristiano. Some of the people are also here, Sick Money Grip, and there's somebody else on the chat with no name, but good morning to you, whoever you are also. Yeah, and all the people on Gael Caribbean, good morning to you. And get involved, send a little greeting, send a little shout out, and be good with that.
All right, so of course, our guest in the next hour will be former Senator Tahara Obika, Tahaka Obika. But he's a former senator, and if you remember the history, he was once in the UNC, and then he went to the PNM, and so he was a senator actually under the PNM. I think he was a senator under both, wasn't he, Sir Charles?
I'm not too sure if he was.
I think so.
I think he was senator under both. Yes.
Under both administrations. So we'll be talking to him to get a sense. Of course, he is very knowledgeable in finance and economics and stuff like that. So we'll be talking to him in the next hour and to get his insight on what he thinks is going on with stuff. And of course, he was a former UNC member and also a PNM. So I suppose insight into both.
He bat both sides of the big parties.
Yeah, so we'll be speaking to him in the next hour. But right now we're going to take a break, and so we'll be right back.
Charmflair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Davante tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charmflair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair. We do it all.
There's no Christmas like Christmas on New Era TT Radio.
Oh, how I wish I were a child again, where poinsettias keep reminding you.
Christmas is family.
A Christmas gift of love. It's the kind of gift a man enjoys.
Christmas is love.
Have a Merry Christmas, my dear, and have a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas from all of us here at New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio.
Ho, ho, ho! This Christmas, small businesses, this one's just for you. Get your brand, your product, your business in front of thousands every single day on New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio, and Gaia Caribbean TV. And here's the gift you've been waiting for. Radio and television advertising has never been more affordable anywhere else. We are talking unbelievable real rates. Prices no one else can offer you for primetime slots that put your business right where your customers are watching and listening. So call us today at 299-5156 and turn your Christmas into real results and real profits with affordable advertising, so you too can say Merry Christmas.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box. All right, so we get straight into the headlines for this morning. And of course, I'll start with the Daily Express for this morning. So the Daily Express for this morning and the headline, TNT not a U.S. strike base. That's the headline on the front page of the Daily Express for this morning. And just in case you didn't know what date it is, it's Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. Kamala fires back at Rowley. No request from America to use this land to launch attacks against Venezuela. TNT not a U.S. strike base. That's the headline. Cop charged with Lala murder and a couple shot dead in Pinal. A very tragic and sad story. So that's also on the front page of the Daily Express this morning. And on the back page, couple shot dead, but you know the news continues on the back page of the Express. Intruder demanded money before escaping. Lange Park mom killed by someone she knew. That's another murder that took place also in Chaguana, which is also tragic.
That was the lady who was supposed to be, I think she was a ride share or something.
But she does teach ride share beyond other things too. Security cameras coming to San Fernando. Chamber and police team up to boost safety in the city. PM Brown to U.S. resolve Venezuela issue via diplomacy. So says, of course, Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown. Man 68 overpowers and disarms young bandit. And all about standards, York won strong finish as veterans bow out. Top Cyclist Challenge Federation over Pan Am Trials. Julian smashes 8 and under 200 indoor meters records. I think that's what it is. And Naps and Prez score big in Intercall. So that's it for the front and the back of the Daily Express. I can get to the Guardian, with the front page of the Guardian. Not from our soil. That's the headline. PM assures TNT will not be used as launchpad for U.S. military attacks against Venezuela. Rowley clears the air on SOFA. That's the status of forces agreement signed with the United States. Parents gunned down in front of daughter. That's the tragic story of the couple that was murdered in Pinal. So that's also on the front page. On the back page, York, we want to end on a high. Of course, Trinidad and Tobago plays Bermuda tonight. So that's what he's talking about. So that's the main story in sports in the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. Napariman presentation, crush opponents in South Zone Intercall. Nelson Street Boys roll international primary school football semis. TNT plays Bermuda for pride in final World Cup qualifier. And West Indies batters too stagnant in middle over, says Rutherford. So that's some of the stories in the Guardian today. And over to the Newsday. The front page of the Newsday this morning. Penal dad, mom slain. Gunman warns victim's daughter, go to your room. Wow. Members of the multi-operational police section take part in a tactical demonstration during the passing out parade at the TTPS Police Academy in St. James. So there's a picture of, police officer in tactical movement, I guess. If you want to see it, I could show it to you because I have the papers. There we see it. Tobago casino robbers escape by boat. I don't know that story at all.
That is a dramatic escape.
Yeah. New Grant villager charged with double murder after fire. On the back page of the Newsday, a York not pointing fingers after World Cup dream ends. Put the blame at my feet. Molino and Philip say farewell to TNT. I suppose they're going back to wherever they professionally play. South Premier teams run riot in Intercall zonal quarters. Rutherford batsmen need to score more in the middle. And Molino and Phillips say farewell to TNT in the Bermuda match. A midfielder and captain Kevin Molino, along with goalkeeper Marvin Phillip, will wear their national colors for the final time when a FIFA World Cup qualifier against Bermuda is held at the Hazy Crawford Stadium, Nicaragua, on November 18th. The match kicks off at 9 p.m. Molino, 35, and Phillip, 41, both been leading figures on the national team for more than 15 years. Molino made his debut in 2010 and Phillips in 2007. Molino told TNT Football Association media after the November 13th World Cup qualifier against Jamaica that the Bermuda contest will be his final appearance for TNT. Looking back, it has been a hell of a road. I think it's set up in a way that this might be my last game for TNT coming up on Tuesday. So Molino said, but that's sad. I think, in my mind, Kevin Molino is much younger than 35, in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think he's like one of those young, one of the young guys who have something like he's in his early 20s, in my mind. But here it is. He says this might be his last game. So that's it for our 3 dailies this morning. So now you know.
Interesting. Yeah, but he's one of the names. I mean, he'd been hearing on, seeing for a long time, So yeah, he could be up inside of there if you really think about it,
Yeah.
He's been around for a long time. Yeah. There's also a story in the Newsday, and it says that Munilal which is Dr. Monilal backs Roberts' Probe Victoria Keys seal. Just read part of it for you. It says, Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Monilal has come out in full support of his cabinet colleague, Minister in the Ministry of Housing, Anil Roberts, as mounting cross-Caribbean controversy widens between the Trinidad and Tobago government and St. Vincent and the Grenadines SVG Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. So you know how that back and forth has been going. Mr. Roberts has put out some information. The Gonsalves has threatened legal action about it. I don't think that has come about as yet, you know. But yeah, we have Dr. Monilal saying that there are some deeper things that are happening there, and there should be a probe into the Victoria Keys sale. So I want you to keep that in mind, because that is where our poll is coming from this morning. All right.
I find that entire situation is such a non-story, in my opinion, because the buildings, not meaning to rehash it, but the buildings were sold on the open market. They're still being sold on the open market.
Mm-hmm.
So it just reeks of, because Ralph Gonsalves said something that this government didn't like, they felt the need to attack him. That's how it reads. Call it like I see it. That's how it looks. And so they're looking for something, and that was the something, and which is how politics can get nasty, and you know.
Yeah, it is nasty. It's not hearted either.
No. It could get very nasty and very vindictive. You know, and this is not a UNC thing. This is a politics thing that it gets nasty and vindictive. And this is just an example of it, in my opinion, because it's clear those are the facts. It was on the open market, they bought, end the story. But there we go, spending money on investigations and hoping to find something, and spending, guess whose money? Taxpayers' money. Because we have all the money in the world right now, right?
I suppose.
Yeah.
We
have all the money in the world, right? So
yeah.
Let's pursue that one, because what's going to be the outcome of that? What? What's your objective? What?
Well, let's see what the time will
tell.
Right?
PNM and what? You're in power now, so.
But remember, remember, politics and politicians they're not playing for just today, you know. They're playing for yesterday, for tomorrow, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I just find well, we know there are other things going on, so, and of course, and the escalating tension with regard to the Venezuela issue. Whoever thought that Trinidadians and Tobagonians in any generational lifetime, after post-1962, would have thought that we could be involved in a war with an external country? I mean, we've had our domestic issues, you know, because we'd have certain things would have occurred internally over the history of Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, pre-independence and post-independence. But whoever thought that you would actually have a situation that's potentially escalating, that could possibly involve an attack on Trinidad and Tobago? Who would ever have thought that? And that's not even, I think, in the wildest dreams of anybody, because Caribbean islands are so...
Yeah, maybe not in your lifetime or my lifetime, but it looks like it's in our lifetime now.
We'd have never thought of that, because we tend to be very neutral in a lot of stuff historically. And we kind of basically, as we said, since 1967, from that treaty that was signed by CELAC about non-nuclear proliferation in the Caribbean, and not having nuclear vessels or anything in the Caribbean as a zone of peace. And that's what zone of peace means. Not trying to rework the meaning to mean something else and say, well, we have crime. Everybody has crime. But that's not the issue. The issue, when they said zone of peace in terms of that treaty that was signed, was about war and nuclear weapons in the Caribbean. That's what it was. So, you know, when politicians trying to redefine something in a certain, in a particular way to suit the objective, it gets me irritated. We're not stupid. Come on. So stop trying to redefine it to be something that it's not.
When everybody wants to get something out of something, they will either go after it or they will create something to go after it. So that is probably exactly what.
Yes, they always justify. Politicians are always trying to justify what they do. Okay, because they're always trying to appease public sentiment on a certain level, especially in a democracy. But that's what they do. So they try to justify it. So that's why sometimes you just have to listen to both of them and try and wade through the bush. Sometimes is what people would call it.
Yeah.
But yeah. To me, what the current administration should focus on is their revitalization blueprint, which, as I said, I thought was very impressive, and impressive that they had done it in such a short time. And to be so comprehensive in such a short time, I thought that was impressive. And if they could get the foreign investment to roll that out, I find that would be a fantastic legacy in terms of moving the country and transforming the country in a particular way. So I think that's what you should really be focused on.
Where the energy should be
placed. For me, that's where the energy, because that's where you have the greatest political...
Maybe they're doing both. Maybe they're doing both. But also, just before we go to the lines, also, people, yesterday the former Prime Minister held a press conference also, together, at his residence, and people are because they said the office of the former Prime Minister, so everybody was like, even the reporters were asking, but I've never heard about this office, so but
it was virtual, wasn't it virtual?
Well, I think some people were there and some people would have been virtual.
I think it was virtual, but I could read some of it for you. Former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley raised concerns about Trinidad and Tobago's current position on the international stage, warning the country is exposed to economic and security risk due to what he described as reckless governance and ill-informed decisions. He derided Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar for saying the country doesn't need Venezuelan gas, describing it as a throwaway comment with far-reaching implications for the nation's energy security. Persad-Bissessar's remark was made on October 27th amid the Venezuela government's proposal to suspend all gas agreements with Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking via Facebook Live at his home on November 17th, Rowley reflected on his own tenure, saying, "I had to make the analysis in 2015 regarding the energy sector and spend the majority of my time working on and prioritizing our revenue stream from energy." He warned, despite gas reserves of 10 to 12 trillion cubic feet, the country faces a downward trend in production and consumption, with daily usage dropping from 4.
All right, there you go again. Your microphone just dropped, as you mentioned, dropped. Yeah, so Richard fixes his microphone in between the story there.
There we go. Unless we find, you hear me, right? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Go ahead.
Okay. He says, unless we find additional gas to add to proven reserves, we will struggle to maintain even our current reduced levels. So it goes on and on and on. He also talked about, I know on news last night, he talked about the offshore infrastructure for gas, and saying that if those were the subject of an attack, it affects electrical supply. It will be damaging to the energy infrastructure of the country, including things like electricity and stuff like that. So basically, he was very passionate and upset about, I suppose, the trajectory of the current government in terms of the escalating tensions with Venezuela.
Even social media is a creature by itself, and and while you are hearing both arguments, both for and against. Some people are actually saying that he was being reckless by some of the things that he put out there yesterday, and showing up our weaknesses more or less to the Venezuelans as to what could happen to Trinidad and Tobago, as to how they could cripple us should they attack that platform.
Well, I hear you, but that ain't rocket science. Trinidad and Tobago is not the most protected state in terms of what would hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anybody can work it out. Just if you're looking from a strategic point of view, you can work it out. And so, but how did we get here? We got here because we gave up our neutrality, in a sense. Not in a sense, we gave it up and aligned ourselves in a particular direction. And we have questioned that on a certain level on this show. What's the intent? Because countries usually operate by interest. So what is the interest? Are you putting all your eggs in one basket and hoping that whatever the US accomplishes will redound to the benefit of the Trinidad and Tobago in terms of our access to that gas? Because Dr. Rowley is right. The Prime Minister did say we don't need any Venezuelan gas. And those kinds of statements are not helpful. They're not. And when we have talked about this, I don't even feel like we're going it over again. When all of these issues happen, as they happened chronologically, we have commented and indicated, look, we felt, watch your language, look at the use of language in terms of how we're dealing with the situation. Why have we become so vociferous in terms of our support and the exchange of words that happened across the Gulf of Paria between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago? Because there were words being thrown back and forth. We have never experienced that before. And so we are in uncharted territory. Whatever side of the political fence you sit on, and I sit firmly on Trinidad and Tobago side. That's where I am. But my philosophy about the UNC and the PNM, I think they should both go into the legacy forum and be historical, and new parties need to come up. But that's what we have. That's what we stuck with at this point. And where is Trinidad and Tobago in all of this? How did we get here? How did we get here that people are anxious about helicopters flying overhead, anxious about the possibility of an attack, anxious by going and buy stuff in the supermarket when they hear rumors? How did we reach here? And how is that acceptable? Come on.
All right, so let's open the lines as we go up to 7 o'clock. All right, so 281-1315 and 299-5156. You can get in on your conversation now. And all right, so the lines are open to you. And they're working. So we get to go. Yeah, so, yeah, well, I mean, like, it's a good question how we got here. And, I mean, despite everything, too, some of the language has been tempered now, but as I said, maybe the damage has already been done.
You are right, Sir Charles. You are right. So let's focus on the good in a kind of way, because the Prime Minister was very clear yesterday in saying that Trinidad and Tobago would not allow, the government would not allow Trinidad and Tobago to be used as a base to launch any attack on Venezuela. Yeah. So those are comforting words in terms of being very clear with regard to the Venezuelan authorities. And she went to the further extent of saying that all they were concerned were about the issue of the narco traffickers and stuff. Of course, which she also said irresponsible things about killing them violently. Because they are what they are extrajudicial killings. You could dance and tiptoe, you could dress it up and however you want to dress it up, that's what it is. And so she did kind of emphasize that, which I felt was a good statement to make after all that has been said before.
All right, put up in right there. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning to you, caller.
You all had the trend yesterday, I would say, in the lead up to Dr. Oli's press conference with the interview with Commander Dindial. And he was truthful and blunt. And that's what we haven't been getting. And Dr. Oli further amplified it. And what he did is he gave the history of how things were and how they moved from there. And that's just after April 20th. Because he even spoke about the meeting that was convened that ended up in St. Vincent between Guyana and Venezuela when those tensions arose. And you know, when he gave the history about Canada saying, well, time for talk done, and when everybody was backing Juan Guaido and so on. Where's Guaido now? Right? And so you see, the thing about it is that what was displayed to us over the weekend with the press conference with Minister Sean Sobers has put paid to what Mr. Raghubal Singh just said. Because he is saying he's in a press conference talking, and when he asks a question, he asks, where did that come from? And the reporter, Mr. Samuel, tell him it came from an interview that the Attorney General gave to the Financial Times. So imagine our Attorney General is giving permission to the Financial Times, a foreign newspaper, and telling them credibly that we are having joint exercises with the U.S. Marine Expeditionary Unit. And like Commander Dindial said, soldiers are not about civilian engagement with crime fighting. Soldiers' business is war. It's war. It's destroying people with munitions and other lethal weapons. That is their business. So it's a complete crock to say that, because no one, the age of the Prime Minister, has not frontally addressed the country and tell us truthfully what is going on or what is the position. And that is what Dr. Rowley pointed out. And when you contrast what's pointed out and what is happening, there is a clear feeling in diplomacy and even basic accounting to the people who put you there. As you always say, Mr. Raghubal, since April, with a clear mandate. And being in charge deserves giving people correct information. Tell us the truth, even if the truth is not nice. And until she does that, there will always be speculation. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much, caller. But if that is the case, and they say that we have had the exercises in the past with the defense force and the military and everything, well, does that mean that when they were here in the past, before the tensions, that they were not here for crime fighting assistance, or is it that the whole threat of war was always on the cards whenever they were here?
Sir Charles, I touched on this sometime last week or week before. Having military exercises is always a passive-aggressive tool that is used by countries when they are having escalatory tensions with another country. So China will have exercises close to Taiwan to show anytime we're ready, we could come. Russia will have exercises close to some NATO countries and say, we just having exercises just to rattle them. Okay? Or they will have exercises with other countries, or China and Russia will have joint exercises to aggravate the United States. Things are more intentional and deliberate than they seem. So when people start to give it some sort of casual, this is happening just coincidentally, that's not how the world functions. The world functions in a very deliberate and intentional way. It's like if you having problems with your neighbor and you know your neighbor don't like X, and you invite X and all, they're having a big party and saying, yeah, and all, they're standing up outside and talking. It's to aggravate your neighbor.
All right there, Richard. Just before we go to the poll, let's just take this by the caller. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sir Charles.
Good morning.
Morning, guys. You know, long your play line. And anyway, let me
go ahead, Dick. I
need to wish Zena and her husband many more wedding anniversaries, continued blessings. You know, you enjoy your anniversary this month. Have a blessed day. Bye, fellas.
Okay, no problem. Thanks very much, Mr. Martin.
Yeah, as we go to the news, the point I'm just trying to make, Sir Charles, is that things are deliberate and intentional for a reason. Never assuming they are casual and coincidental. Not that when it comes to countries, because it takes a lot of resources and money to do when you're mobilizing the military of any country to do anything, even a joint exercise, and exercise costs money.
All right. I hear you where that is concerned. We probably pick it up on the other side of supper. The poll is up, and it comes out of the story that in the news today where Dr. Muniala was saying that there should be a probe into Victoria Keys. So the question being asked to you today, do you agree that there should be a probe into Victoria Keys? Answer yes or no, and then put your comments, and we will connect with you after the 7 o'clock news. Yeah, Richard?
Yeah.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is NETT Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio in Gael, Caribbean. I'm Derek. Good day. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has reaffirmed her government's economic transformation agenda, saying the new revitalization plan will diversify the economy, attract foreign investment, and create over 50,000 jobs. In a post shared around 9:21 a.m., she said thousands of citizens are already being screened in Phase 1 of the National Recruitment Drive, which targets 20,000 public sector jobs. The Prime Minister said the blueprint aims to open the doors to international capital, improve efficiency, and repurpose state assets, including the International Waterfront Complex. She highlighted a focus on export-driven industries, foreign exchange earnings, and solutions for long-standing infrastructure issues through climate-resilient and smart mobility designs. Persad-Bissessar also pointed to plans for major partnerships with global lenders and private investors. Calling foreign investment a vital pillar, she praised Works and Infrastructure Minister Jearleen John and said public response has been overwhelmingly positive. The PM added that Trinidad and Tobago is open for business, directing citizens to the government's portal for more details. North Central Regional Health Authority Chairman Dr. Tim Gobising says widespread corruption and mismanagement have cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars over the past decade. Since taking office 2 months ago, he says he found the NCRHA in shambles, with nearly $500 million paid to 5 security companies without tenders or contracts. That annual bill has now been cut from $52 million to $30 million. Gobising also uncovered 150 rental vehicles paid for, despite only 15 available drivers, costing over $4 million a year, and said ghost vehicles could not be located. He highlighted $4 million in overtime paid to staff to maintain a vegetable garden, and nearly $237 million spent over 10 years on lab reagents from a single supplier at prices he said were 10 times higher than normal. He says urgent repairs are underway across the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, including transformers, wastewater pumps, AC systems, lifts, lighting, and the incinerator. Cuts to janitorial, landscaping, and industrial gas costs have reportedly saved more than $100 million, which he says will now be redirected toward improving healthcare. President Christine Kangaloo has signed several key pieces of legislation aimed at bringing Trinidad and Tobago in line with international financial and tax standards. Legal notices published on November 16 confirm she assented to all sections of the Miscellaneous Provisions FATF Compliance Act of 2025, along with specific sections of similar FATF-related acts passed in 2020 and 2024. All the laws take effect from November 17. The 2025 Act, passed in both houses without amendments, updates major laws including the Prevention of Corruption Act, the Anti-Terrorism Act, and the Mutual Assistance in Criminal Matters Act. Attorney General John Jeremy says the push for FATF compliance has been long, noting that in 2020, Trinidad and Tobago avoided being de-risked internationally after leaving the FATF gray list. He says more legislation is coming as the country remains on the EU's list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions. Trinidad and Tobago will be the first Caribbean nation assessed by the CFATF in March 2026. The Single Mothers Association of Trinidad and Tobago says food and shelter remain the biggest reasons women reach out for help. President Charmaine Wickham Howe says SMAT now has over 600 dues-paying members, and she personally receives at least 3 requests for assistance every day. She says most appeals are for basic food items, while many pregnant mothers are also seeking maternity essentials. The association has even shut down its Facebook Messenger because of the overwhelming volume of daily messages. After food, Wickham Howe says the most urgent need is shelter, whether due to eviction, financial hardship, or unsafe home environments. She adds that many former URP and CPAP workers, including single mothers, are still unemployed despite attending the government's national recruitment drive. SMAT will host a mental health day and job fair on November 22nd at Woodford Square, and Wickham Howe is calling on the government to reserve 10% of state housing for single mothers, similar to allocations for protective services. In international news, Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk says an explosion on a railway line leading to the Ukraine border was an unprecedented act of sabotage. Visiting the scene Monday, Tusk confirmed the blast deliberately damaged the tracks and was likely intended to blow up a passing train. No one was injured. After an emergency security meeting, officials said there is a very high chance the attack was ordered by foreign services. While Russia was not named, Poland has faced a series of arson and sabotage attempts it links to Moscow's hybrid warfare. The explosion occurred along the crucial Warsaw to Lublin route, used to deliver aid to Ukraine. Investigators are also probing a second apparent sabotage incident where another train was forced to stop suddenly. Authorities say explosives were definitely used, and police are reviewing security footage to identify suspects. The government has vowed to find those responsible, warning there is no place on earth they can hide. And that is news at this time.
That was News Now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio. NETT Radio.
Your mid-morning just got better. Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio.
Morning vibes, fresh energy. This is the NETT Radio Breakfast Show.
Calling all sexy thick body girl them. Show confidence, wine in position. Make the bumper roll, 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 roll. Action. Make the bumper bounce, 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 bounce. Reaction. Bumper roll, 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 roll. Action. Look back and wine, wine. Now what's the thickest wine on your life? When heavy the bumpers them drop, they'll crush you on the highway. Watch traffic on the highway. Stay 70 meters behind them big truck, or they'll push you on the highway. Traffic on the highway. Calling on the girl, roll up on the highway. Wine on the highway, walk up on the highway. Yo, calling on the girl, roll up on the highway. Wine on the highway, walk up on the highway. Yeah. With big ties and a bumper like that, it's smash up on the highway. Traffic on the highway. Pretty face, solid and mouth hot. She go crush you on the highway. Traffic on the highway. Calling on the girl, roll up on the highway. Wine on the highway, walk up on the highway. Yo, calling on the girl, roll up on the highway. Wine on the highway, walk up on the highway. Make the bumper roll, 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 roll. Drop. Make the bumper bounce, 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 bounce. Drop. Make the bumper roll, 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 roll. Drop. Look back and wine, wine. Yo, stay in your way division or she'll knock you down. It's smash up on the highway. Traffic
just got better. You're locked into NETT Radio Breakfast Show, fueling your day with the best music and real talk.
Action and reaction. Make your bumper roar. I tell you, Carnival 2K26 is off and running, people. Yeah, Christmas is here, but Carnival is here too. So good morning to you, and of course welcome inside our number 2. Yeah, good to have you here on New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio, taking you above and beyond the heartbeat of the Caribbean. Let me say good morning to all the folks tuning in on Gael Caribbean TV. Thank you very much for being here on the net. And of course, remember when we come off of the TV feed, when we come off the TV feed, remember you can get us at newerattradio.com all throughout the day and weekend. We are here for you. And you can also get us on New Era TT Radio. Put it in your browser. That way you get us on TuneIn. You get us on TuneIn, you'll be able to get us on all your Google and Alexa devices, right? And remember, your next engagement will be at 4 o'clock for those of you who are on the YouTube feed. And that will be for our Drive Time Exchange with journalist Tony Fraser. Not sure exactly what we will be dealing with this afternoon, but trust me, it's always interesting inside of the Drive Time Exchange. And of course, while you're on our platforms, remember, subscribe, like, follow the channels, and of course also hit the support buttons in between there also, yeah? Alright, so continue to vote on the poll. The poll is, do you agree that there should be a probe into the Victoria Keys sale? Alright, so you're voting yes or you're voting no. Any comments you want to put in, you can put in after, but for now, put in yes or no. Alright, and we will be back shortly, so don't go anywhere.
There's no Christmas like Christmas on New Era TT Radio.
Laughing children tug at Mr. Santa. Teddy bears.
Feel the laughter, the lights, the love. That's what Christmas feels like.
Christmas Eve, casually I was walking down the street. One Christmas Eve, casually
we keep the joy alive and the music playing all season long. Merry Christmas from your friends at New Era TT Radio, taking you above and beyond.
Charmflair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Davanti tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charmflair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair. We do it all.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Ho, ho, ho! This Christmas, small businesses This one's just for you. Get your brand, your product, your business in front of thousands every single day on New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio, and Gaia Caribbean TV. And here's the gift you've been waiting for. Radio and television advertising has never been more affordable anywhere else. We are talking unbelievable real rates. Prices no one else can offer you for primetime slots that put your business right where your customers are watching and listening. So call us today at 299-5156 and turn your Christmas into real results and real profits with affordable advertising so you too can say Merry Christmas.
So we are back, of course, on the Power Breakfast Show. The Power Breakfast Show, Lord have mercy. The Breakfast Show this morning, and of course we're going straight to the poll results. And of course, the poll this morning is: do you agree there should be a probe in the Victoria Keys sale? Part of the poll has been blocked on my screen. So do you agree that there should be a probe into the Victoria Keys sale? So that was our poll this morning. Are you recording, Sir Charles, or are you reading?
Yeah, well, I'm seeing. Is that Wendell we're seeing there?
Yeah, but I can't put on my camera just yet. And you might be hearing some noises.
Yeah.
So just give me a few minutes, right?
No problem. We'll do the poll.
Yeah, and I'm using my phone, so I can't access all the different things, all right?
No problem.
All right. Good morning, guys. Bye. Good morning, by the way. Good morning, everybody. All right.
Yeah.
Why when they'll try and put on his clothes? All right, Richard, I'm recording. So go ahead.
All right. Well, let me check up.
All right. Okay. I don't know what went on there. So we just have a little space in between here. So people remember the poll is: do you agree that there should be a probe into the Victoria Keys sale? All right. So that is the question that we are asking you this morning. It has been raised by Dr. Munilal in support of what he says that he has been seeing and hearing about, and it's about time that we get into it. So, yeah.
All right, so Charles, are you hearing me?
Yes, I am.
All right, so let me go through the poll results. I think it started with Michael Cadet. I think it started with. So that's yes. Okay, let me go down. Slick Money Grip says no. GHX something no. Marlon Motley no. Cheryl Henry no. Melchizedek no. Michael Robinson no. Miguel Gonzalez no. Old Lady says no. Future Culture no. No. Miles Walcott says. Eunice Dublin says no. James Kamau says no. Wayne Joseph says no. Carla Hercules says no. Margaret Thomas says no. CJ says no. Nicola McNichol says no. Eva Smith says no. Joyce Phillips says no. Sometimes people are talking and not putting the no. Susan Jessup says no. D. Mark says no. Lester Cragwell says no. D. Mark no. Quality Finch. No, they didn't say anything. Apollina says no. Sandra, Sadrina, Bag and Charles says no. Fran Romani says no. Dave Gosain says no. Valerie Mendoza, no. Jason Samuel, sorry, says yes. Avion Abraham says no. Carol Guevara says no. Finn Bacall says no. Debbie Mitchell says yes. Bridget Richardson says yes. Joseph Clement says no. Bernadette Heath says no. Ilarizan says no. Bernadette Brent Hatcho says no. Scorpion Pepper says yes. Josie Richardson says no. Marcia Rock says no. Trini Mill Kitchen says no. Shima Paul says no. Victoria Thong says no. Kazim Mohammed says no. Diana Hamill says no. And one more. Quality Finn says no. So that's it. And in terms of the stream, Sir Charles, I don't know what you have on your phone.
Yeah. All right. So let me tell you what I got here. I got to go back a little bit because I'm trying to write and do everything at the same time. All right. Where did it start? All right. Right. So I have that's I just had it. All right. So yes. So Sachin says yes. Judith says no. Horatio says no. Laverne says no. Pauline says yes. Sean says yes. Junior says no. Linda didn't vote. Raymond says no. Rockaway says yes. Archbishop Ashton Clark says no. Frank says no. And Captain Ron says no. Peter didn't vote. Brenda says no. Miss Sampson says no. There's the next one to tick down there. And I think that is it. All
right, so I just have one more. Reno Jeffrey says no.
And I will vote yes. If it's simply to put it to rest once and for all, I will say yes. Investigate it. Do what you need to do and clear a prime minister's name. You understand? And his family. Investigate it. I say yes.
All right. So we had 67 people on the poll. 54 person says no, and 12 says yes. Yeah, right. So that's it. 67 on the poll. 54 says no, and 12 says yes.
Okay.
My math shows me right.
All right, so that's it for our poll results for this morning. Of course, we have a guest coming up now. Former Senator Tahika Obika. He is already in studio, so we'll get straight into that interview. So good morning, Mr. Obika, and welcome to the Breakfast Show, and thanks so much for joining us this morning. But your mic is off, so you just need to turn on your mic. Yeah.
Sorry, it's a pleasure to be here with your viewers and your streamers online.
Okay. Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this morning. So much to discuss. I mean, so much. I always say that one thing for sure, Trinidad does not have a shortage of its news and stuff going on almost every single day. There is something happening in Trinidad and Tobago that you can discuss. For such a small space, we're not boring at all. So, I mean, let's start off. Well, with the obvious, there's obviously a lot of tension in the air because of the Venezuela U.S. standoff, let's call it that, that has been de-escalated ever so slightly by President Trump saying yesterday that they may be in talks with the Maduro regime. We don't, but of course, things can change in a second with regard to, any kind of diplomacy or whatever efforts are taking place behind the scenes that we're not privy to. What's your take on this entire situation with regard to the U.S. and of course there are several aspects to the picture. One with regard to the narco trafficking and the blowing up of alleged narco trafficker boats in the Caribbean area and the Pacific, actually, so it's both, and of course the standoff with Maduro and the Maduro government believing that it's an attack and it's an attempt at regime change in Venezuela. Trinidad and Tobago's obvious support for the U.S. In this and being an outlier really in CARICOM with regard to that. What's your overview of that entire picture and what's your opinion on it?
Well, to begin with, as an economist, I would stay closer to the impact on the economy, and the most I would venture would be to say that we are in an unenviable position because our largest trading partner on the planet, the United States of America, is in open hostilities with our neighbor on whom most of our hydrocarbon future is dependent. Because forget Dragon is in Venezuelan territory. We're talking about the Coquina Mannequin and the Coquina Mannequin as well as the Lauren Manatee fields and any other fields that go close to or across the borders of Venezuela. We require the Venezuelan regime's approval to commercialize them. So therefore, as a result of that, it doesn't bode well for our future if our neighbor and our single largest trading partner, who actually controls 50% of our hydrocarbon reserves in terms of production value, is in open hostility. So it's not. So and we've seen President Trump talk to the person with whom America has open hostilities with, or where they have no diplomatic relations at a formal level with. For example, the North Korean leader. So in the past, in his first term as a president. So hopefully there could be a cooling of tensions. But on the side of the economy, the economy is in dire need for some relief.
Well, I know the Prime Minister had said, which former Prime Minister Dr. Rowley stated yesterday in his press conference that, and she had said, and I think he called it irresponsible or whatever word he used, or whatever adjective he used, about her saying that we don't need Venezuelan gas in terms of the trade of words that happened between our Prime Minister and the Venezuelan leadership. And there was a point at which she said, oh, we don't need Venezuelan gas. But of course, we actually do from an economic point of view.
Well, you have to remember, you're treating with an attorney, right?
Oh, is she right? Is she right?
Well, first, you're treating with an attorney. When attorneys make statements, they make them that in a way that they can't refute it, right? So if you were to ask the question, do we need Venezuelan gas? The answer could be unequivocally no. Lauren Manatee, the side that is on Trinidad, Coquina Mannequin, the side that is on Trinidad, will be Trinidad and Tobago gas. However, the gas is taken from one bowl. And it's on a hydrocarbon basin is one bowl. And if it's 30% is on Trinidad water, well, you can take 30% of the hydrocarbons and no more, right? If you deunitize it. So in that context, strictly speaking, we will not be using Venezuelan gas. You understand? But you can't access the gas without Venezuela's approval. You understand?
Yes,
For example, where the statement was that Trinidad and Tobago will not be used as a staging post to attack who? The Venezuelan people.
Mm-hmm.
Know that word. She didn't say Venezuela. She said the Venezuelan people. And what that means is, it's open to interpretation where there's room there. There's room there for the Venezuelan. So the Silva shouldn't say that the regime, you understand? Because they can separate in the minds of persons legally a regime from the rest of the population. You can take actions against a regime without taking actions against the population.
Well,
so therefore, what is not said is what is more important than what is said in this case. So we don't need Venezuelan gas can be actually very true, right? But we may need the Venezuelan government's approval to access gas.
Yeah. Is it from an economic point of view that this administration, in their passionate alignment with the United States, in terms of, well, let me phrase it carefully, in terms of the narco trafficking fight in the Caribbean, because they said that makes us not in a zone of peace, etc., etc. We know what the narrative is. Is it that because countries always operate on interests, so you have to be calculating what is the current administration seeing as Trinidad and Tobago's interest in this issue. One is, of course, they are hoping for some dent in the issue of guns and drugs, and Trinidad and Tobago being used as a transshipment point, which could correspondingly reduce crime. That's an interest. But is another interest tied to the possibility of accessing the gas in Dragon Field being made easier if there was a regime change, and a regime that's friendlier to the United States and thereby and correspondingly friendlier to Trinidad and Tobago if it is that you're an ally of the United States? Would that be a calculated risk that they're thinking of from an economic point of view?
The Trinidad and Tobago government and our foreign policy cannot contemplate regime change as a scenario for us to participate in, because that is not our foreign policy position. For obvious reasons, small open economies like ours depend on the safety of the United Nations community, and therefore we must abide by all the protocols necessary that ensure peace. And as a result of that, it is necessary for us to uphold the sovereignty of other states and to answer whoever is in office there. If there are issues of a nature that may rise to the level of human rights issues or concerns or criminal activity, there are international fora for us to seek remedy. But it is not for us to participate in any action against a state without the approval or direction from the United Nations.
But what many international observers have called the extrajudicial killings in the Caribbean and the Pacific, and without any sanction from the UN, because you can only do that if there's some UN agreement that something like that could take place. I'm just going on international experts weighing in on it, and they're saying so many countries are now. The EU has also weighed in on it and said it's to be considered an extrajudicial killing. So you're talking about all of these agreements and foreign policy positions, but the current government has avidly supported what the rest of the world, at least international experts and human rights organizations, have called extrajudicial killings. And the current administration, regardless of foreign policy and agreements, have been very much in support of those killings. So how do you explain that?
Well, the government will have to atone for its actions in that regard in due course. Right? Because if the international community, via the International Criminal Court, decides to take action, we are not United States. We don't have an Oval Office here. Understand? And therefore, the Americans will treat with their matters how they see fit. But when the international community decides to take action on Trinidad and Tobago, it will be on Trinidad and Tobago alone. And the government would have to answer to the international community for whatever decisions they would have supported, taken, or facilitated. That is on them. We have seen instances in the United States where when regimes change, decisions of prior regimes are scrutinized, and sometimes punitive action is taken against the key actors in the United States by United States law. So therefore, it is necessary for us whenever we step on a global stage, even though it may be happening in Trinidad and Tobago waters or near our shores. The concerns are at the level of the world. We should ensure that we follow international protocol. And wherever that is not done, the government will have to atone for that. The individual actors will have to atone for that, because when the International Criminal Court takes action, they don't take action against the country, they take action against the decision makers.
Yeah.
That is on them.
Do you think the US is interested in regime change?
Well, we have many persons in the US media speaking about that, but of course the government's official position of the United States, we can't speak to that. We could speculate. And if we speculate, we might all come up with the same answer to that question. But time
it's all theoretical and discussive at this point. I wanted to now switch the conversation to because you are economists, the revitalization blueprint that the government showcased via their ceremony of sorts.
The second budget, you mean? The second budget presentation. That Senator John would have delivered. That MP John would have delivered. Minister.
Well, I don't know if it's a second budget resolution.
As an economist, and several economists are calling it a second budget, because the first budget was wholly underwhelming. All right. Remove yourself from, let's say it's not Trinidad and Tobago. Let's say you're watching as an investor and you're watching the Maldives or Malta, for example, and the budget was just read, and you hear on BBC, the Maltese government has just introduced a slew of taxes on the population, increasing electricity bills, which the business community is saying will increase costs of delivery of service, a surcharge on banks, on property owners who are renting, and on insurance companies, making it more expensive for persons to invest in long-term investments. And to add to that, they are finding difficulty in paying salaries of public servants. The foreign exchange reserves have been declining to 5 months odd in import cover, and the government has withdrawn at least 10% from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund in the past 6 months. That sounds like a country that is progressing, and also their bet on hydrocarbon reserves is in jeopardy because their neighbor is in open hostilities with a world power. That sounds like a country, are going to invest there, or maybe let's wait and see what happens in the next few months. So they also shut down their own debate. All right. Remember, the government has the power to shut down the debate. The opposition doesn't shut down the debate. Right? Government has the numbers, they have the speaker. So they shut down the own debate. So key ministers don't get to speak. And I guess maybe that's why, but one can only speculate. They said, okay, the budget was bad. It didn't provide any hope in terms of the economy and economic direction. It didn't provide an answer to the Venezuela issue. And therefore, Minister John would have outdoored what should have been nursing definitely for more than a decade, because if you recall, should have been in the mix with UDCOT back in the days when that plan was first hatched. So that whole master plan with Port of Spain redevelopment, San Fernando, the highway to Mayaro, all those things were part of that blueprint back in those days in the early 2000s. So it's a national economic plan. I was working in a government ministry at the time, and so I remember elements of it. So you have, as a junior economist, as Minister of Trade and then Minister of Labor. So you have and Minister of Finance in Tobago. So those are plans that we were working with at the time. They may have added a few things, but basically it's a real estate investment plan. So many countries around the world that want a small island countries want to attract investment, they go to real estate options. So whether it's Dubai, whether it's Singapore, and so on. Now, so that's why I say it is a second budget. It's not it provides the only real opportunity for job creation. But when you look at the budget didn't speak to that at all. The only comment on job creation was state sector employees, not productive sector, business sector. You understand? Right? So the state sector is not the productive sector, typically in an economy. Right? That's the bureaucrats. So that's the main flaw. The other is but notwithstanding the budget, the question now persons ask is how are you going to finance it? All right, and the worry that we'll have is by the cavalier approach to taking over the state banks, the person in charge of that will be driving this process will be between Ministry of Works and UDCOT. Who's the chairman of UDCOT? Who happens to be also the chairman of the state bank? The same individual, right? And as a result of that, you will ask yourself, where will be the fetters that would mitigate against overspend and over-enthusiasm across projects, all right? Where will be the checks and balances when the same person wears both hats? That's aside, that's just something to watch. If the money is going to come from the local banking sector, it also raises other concerns, all right? In terms of the stability of those banks. And that's why, and then many persons, and this is happening in an environment where the share price of a major local bank has also declined by 25%, roughly. All right. So all these are real concerns. We are seeing the signs for now. There is an opportunity, however, that of course I won't be Tarakobi if I don't talk about Africa and the Caribbean and the opportunities that are at play. The Afro-Exim Bank is in the Caribbean, and I have been personally packaging deals with investors, not from Trinidad and Tobago, but in the region that are looking to get access to financing. But Afro-Exim Bank came here, and therefore there's the opportunity for Trinidad and Tobago. They came here in August on the invitation of the government, so therefore there's opportunity for Trinidad and Tobago to use the $3 billion that Afro-Exim Bank has available to carry on, of which Trinidad and Tobago is the largest economy, to probably fund this agenda. And in light of the fact that culture is now categorized as noise in certain spaces, maybe the government can reserve some cultural spaces in this infrastructural development plan, this real estate plan for the country, in South, in Tobago, in Port of Spain, and in Central, for cultural events. So therefore, you wouldn't have the Promoters Association being left in the cold when they have already started collecting revenues for the ticket sales for the upcoming carnival season.
So is it that you're seeing that a lot of the investment is going to come from local money and maybe the African Exim Bank? Or is it that, because the sense I got from the government, at least in their presentation, was, and some of the media that you heard after the presentation, in a couple of days after, was that they were going to go to external countries like in the Middle East, etc., in terms of courting investment in these projects, because they are mega projects. They're not small. And in terms of getting that kind of foreign investment, I know we spoke to the Minister of Planning, Kennedy Swatsing, on the program, and he said that a lot of it would be private, and private investment is what they're looking to come in to do a lot of it. And the sense you got of it was going to be an international kind of approach, and they were trying to maybe make things, they have a priority portal to make things faster in terms of approval processes and stuff like that, and the ease of doing business. All of those things were talked about, and I know as part of the presentation they talked about that priority portal. So don't you think that some of that investment will probably be courting investment from countries about, despite the tensions in the area at this point? Don't you think that's probably where they're going to go to?
Money doesn't like noise, so I can't see investors coming here if Trinidad and Tobago is going to be a staging post for war, right? So until the hostilities between the US and Venezuela subside, realistically, you can't expect that to happen. However, long-term investment doesn't happen on the turn of a hat. It takes time, and therefore we'll have to judge the government by the deliberate actions that they take. However, if, as I told you, this is just really seen as the budget number 2, because there are no measures in the budget to fund this spending.
No.
They're barely able to demonstrate. They are unable to demonstrate in the budget how they're going to fund the 10% of public servants. So how if you can't pay public servants salaries that you promise them, how are you going to build multi-billion-dollar in US terms infrastructure? So therefore you're going to mortgage the country's assets to the hilt. You're going to borrow, or you're going to levels that we've never seen before, or you're also going to drain state enterprises or sell state enterprises to generate revenue. The question is, if you watch the budget without this transformation plan, the shiny images that we saw on the presentation, where in that budget tells you that Trinidad and Tobago can afford, when in the budget they need to borrow $18 billion to finance the budget.
But sorry to interrupt you, but didn't they indicate that they will be partnering with private investors? And didn't a group already say that they are willing, they like the things that they see and that they are willing to invest?
One of the largest conglomerates in Trinidad and Tobago indicated that the acquisition pipeline is 3 billion TT, I believe. I don't think it was US, and that was yesterday in news. And that's one of the largest conglomerates. Where is the funds going to come from? The entire investment outlay, if it works up to be 20 to 50 billion ET dollars, all right? Who is going to finance that? If the largest conglomerate, their pipeline might be 3 billion. So from that perspective, where is the money going to come from? It's not going to come from the population. It's only going to come from capital that has been formed. All right? And so therefore it can't really reasonably come local. They'll have to borrow if the government is doing it, or sell state assets. All right? And that still will not be enough. And therefore, you'd have to have a serious attempt to attract foreign investment. But if this measure, a tree cannot deny its roots, as I will say, right? So if this measure was really done to save face from the catastrophe of a budget, then you know where this is going. You also heard the timelines that were announced during the presentation. The timelines were, well, based on this, we can start 2028 this project. We can start this project 2027. You're talking about flattening the prison in Port of Spain. You're talking about building an entirely new prison. All right? Although that money could have been better spent investing in our young people, but I guess...
But we still have a big property, acres and acres of land up on the highway that I'm just about to pass, with a fence, a multi-million-dollar fence that's doing nothing. We still have that as a fallback from the last time that they were in government.
But even that, why is the solution to crime a bigger prison? when the solution to crime since we've been a nation has been youth investment. You have all these youth projects that the government has shelved. You have young people that have now been disenfranchised. They've been removed effectively from the lands that they had in Chatham. About 300 young people. A few of them got homes already, so they're in it. But the rest, they got land allocated, but it's still, the secondary trees have overcome it. So they need to get permission to cut those trees down. And the government has sent word to them that the cut trees, they'll be charged. And they need approval to cut a tree in an area designated as a forest. Right? But that was the old dairy farm, and the trees have regrown and reclaimed the land in Chatham. So the government is disenfranchising young people, all right? And at the same time, they're planning to build multi-billion-dollar jail cells for these same young people. That is the future that they're offering. So even on the social level, it is a disaster. Unfortunately.
Well, I think you're misrepresenting a little bit, saying that's the future that they're promising to young people. I think that's a little bit hyperbolic. Because
no, not really, because I'm telling you about plans that the current youth programs have been cancelled.
Right.
So therefore, if we accept that those youth activities have been cancelled, all right, and at the same time, instead of announcing a master plan for young people, you're announcing a master prison. What is the value to the citizens of that?
The prison, the justice complex, or whatever they're calling it, obviously is part of how they see the country moving forward in terms of transforming the country. And I want to believe that there are smart people in the government, that they're not stupid in terms of how they see whatever their vision is of transforming Trinidad and Tobago.
A fox is smart when he catches a rabbit, but he also eats the rabbit. So nobody's questioning whether someone is intelligent. What we're questioning is intent, the intent behind it. And if you are disenfranchising, I had a meeting with some young people last week who have been disenfranchised by the second site, because there's a second site that they were supposed to get these lands, right? Farming. And these are young people that they did the courses, they got the marks at ECIAF, all right? That is Eastern Caribbean Institute for Agriculture and Forestry. And they have done the training, and they reached the final stage, they graduated, and the government is saying, that is the last government being given it. Can you imagine if it weren't agriculture, right? But it was medicine. And persons studied, they did their programs in medicine, and the government said, no, well, that is the last government gave you those medical certifications. We're not going to hire you in the hospital. Can you imagine? Only because it's agriculture, we treat it as there is no problem. But those young people, you understand? Those hundreds of young people are disenfranchised. At the same time, they're watching the government saying they're going to build $1 billion prison. So the juxtaposition of it, in terms of culture, for example.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't buy the connection. And I'm saying, yes, I'm not agreeing with the government not cancelling whatever it is for young people, because I think you always have to have an investment in young people and have those kinds of projects. And I think both governments, to a certain degree, have, of course, the PNM was there for longer, so you have a longer history to judge. But you had a crisis of young people not seeing a future in Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of them. And a lot of them were prepared to migrate. You have had a certain amount of brain drain taking place in the country because people are not feeling hopeful about the future of Trinidad and Tobago. So how do you stem that? Because confidence is an important part of the economy. Confidence is a very important part of the future of any country. And if you can't instill confidence, then one of your greatest assets, your human resource, is going to start to dwindle or not be as productive or put to productive use. You're giving an example.
So I can assure you the confidence that they've instilled in the promoters for Carnival is at an all-time high, because now they're categorized as noise. After they've already packaged their products, they've been removed from access for the Brian Lackrate Academy. They initially mentioned all liquor spaces and they remembered, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't remove the Hyatt Lime location and other locations around the waterfront. So they brought that back on after they got public pushback, maybe in high places. So the point I'm making is this is a government that is acting without planning. And even where they plan, the intent, whether it's you can question the intent as whether they care for the people. Because you cannot tell me that I just passed by Brian on Saturday, on Monday and Saturday, and there was this weekend there was a keep fit activity with music, all right? Because they cannot keep fit without speakers and so on. There was a large from the highway there was traffic on the highway as a result of that, all right? On Saturday evening, and so therefore you are telling persons they can't use the space for culture, but they could use the space for a keep fit, which uses the culture, right?
Yeah.
So it's very ad hoc, and they have to ask the question, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I can't disagree.
Would you do that because you care about the people, or would you do that because you're in a position to use a hammer to kill a fly?
Yeah, but I can't disagree with you that sometimes they come across as being a little ad hoc, because that was my opinion with regard to that whole Brian Lara Academy thing, and what they labeled noise, and I felt that even if you wanted to change venues in terms of having those sorts of events, you should have postponed it to 2027 and give enough consultation with promoters, because too many promoters would have booked that facility already, because Carnival is not that far off. It's within it's in about 100 days off from today. And so those venues would have already been booked and tickets started selling for events already. So I felt that came across ad hoc. So I don't disagree with you with that sometimes it seems a little ad hoc in terms of their decisions. And certainly if it is that you were decommissioning certain venues, what were the alternatives? And you needed to speak with the Promoters Association. And that should have been a 2027 thing, not a 2026 thing. But that was my opinion on that. But I mean, I hear you, and there are a lot of missteps, in my opinion, that this government has made, certainly with regard to CPEP and the 30,000 people that they just put out of jobs and reforestation, the Free Forestry Department, etc. All of those things we have talked about in this program, and that I had a problem with. And I felt if you wanted to do away with those programs, or if you wanted to adjust those programs, do it in a way that was more humane than having people suddenly be out of work. But they're in power and they're making decisions. And so shows like this, or the media, is the ones who look on and comment and be vigilant about what you're doing, what we agree on.
I may have to go at this point, so yeah. I don't know if.
Yeah, but just before you go, Mr. Wika, just one thing I just wanted to, because I was just pulling it up here, as we are talking about where the government is going to be getting the money to do what they have to do, and I remember not too long ago the Energy Minister, which is Dr. Moonilal, he's talking about revenue and investment and some things that they talked about on the horizon. He talked about ExxonMobil coming back in after 22 years, $22 billion in new investments. And he raised a number of other things. Are these just pie in the sky dreams, or are these things that the government is looking at that could actually bring revenue? And maybe, just maybe, that is what they are banking on or making their plans on, these sort of investments that they are seeing that maybe another administration may not have been able to see or tap into.
When a fella looking to get a woman interested in him, but he doesn't have the resources, he tells you, don't worry, Gil. I'm real close to getting through a big job.
Financially, I'm a pauper.
So if the girl wishes to believe that story, maybe her father will not. So if there are persons who support the government who wish to believe that story, maybe those who are more discerning with them.
Yeah,
the
but
urgency is now. I've outlined the economy. The budget is a budget where they're borrowing more than we can afford actually to pay without having a plan going forward. It's unimaginative. That's why they have to have a second budget. But even that, it has gaping holes not going to fund it. And even when you look at that, it also has issues regarding focus. And I'm still saying we need more investment in young people, but investment in prisons.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Have a good one.
All right, thanks a lot. So, of course, that was Taika Opika speaking with us concerning, a wide-ranging interview, kind of, because we spoke about the issue of the Venezuela-U.S. standoff or tension, and, of course, the issue of the revitalization blueprint and where that is going to go and what his opinion was with regard to the prison and stuff. I mean, because I've been so involved in prison system for a lot of my work life, conditions under which prisoners are kept leaves a lot to be desired. If that was modernized, I have no objection to that because they are still citizens and they are treated in very...
Sorry about that, Richard. Richard, there's a noise coming in somewhere. I don't know if it's your microphone or if it's...
Might be mine. I had my microphone on for a bit there.
Okay. Well, let's go for the news and come back.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is NETT Radio News Now.
This is News Now on New Era TT Radio in Gael, Caribbean. I'm Derek. Good day. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has reaffirmed her government's economic transformation agenda, saying the new revitalization plan will diversify the economy, attract foreign investment, and create over 50,000 jobs. In a post shared around 9:21 a.m., she said thousands of citizens are already being screened in Phase 1 of the National Recruitment Drive, which targets 20,000 public sector jobs. The Prime Minister said the blueprint aims to open the doors to international capital, improve efficiency, and repurpose state assets, including the International Waterfront Complex. She highlighted a focus on export-driven industries, foreign exchange earnings, and solutions for long-standing infrastructure issues through climate-resilient and smart mobility designs. Persad-Bissessar also pointed to plans for major partnerships with global lenders and private investors. Calling foreign investment a vital pillar, she praised Works and Infrastructure Minister Jearleen John and said public response has been overwhelmingly positive. The PM added that Trinidad and Tobago is open for business, directing citizens to the government's portal for more details. North Central Regional Health Authority Chairman Dr. Tim Gobising says widespread corruption and mismanagement have cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars over the past decade. Since taking office 2 months ago, he says he found the NCRHA in shambles, with nearly $500 million paid to 5 security companies without tenders or contracts. That annual bill has now been cut from $52 million to $30 million. Gobising also uncovered 150 rental vehicles paid for, despite only 15 available drivers, costing over $4 million a year, and said ghost vehicles could not be located. He highlighted $4 million in overtime paid to staff to maintain a vegetable garden, and nearly $237 million spent over 10 years on lab reagents from a single supplier at prices he said were 10 times higher than normal. He says urgent repairs are underway across the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, including transformers, wastewater pumps, AC systems, lifts, lighting, and the incinerator. Cuts to janitorial, landscaping, and industrial gas costs have reportedly saved more than $100 million, which he says will now be redirected toward improving healthcare. President Christine Kangaloo has signed several key pieces of legislation aimed at bringing Trinidad and Tobago in line with international financial and tax standards. Legal notices published on November 16 confirmed she assented to all sections of the Miscellaneous Provisions FATF Compliance Act of 2025, along with specific sections of similar FATF-related acts passed in 2020 and 2024. All the laws take effect from November 17. The 2025 Act, passed in both houses without amendments, updates major laws including the Prevention of Corruption Act, the Anti-Terrorism Act, and the Mutual Assistance in Criminal Matters Act. Attorney General John Jeremy says the push for FATF compliance has been long, noting that in 2020, Trinidad and Tobago avoided being de-risked internationally after leaving the FATF gray list. He says more legislation is coming as the country remains on the EU's list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions. Trinidad and Tobago will be the first Caribbean nation assessed by the CFATF in March 2026. The Single Mothers Association of Trinidad and Tobago says food and shelter remain the biggest reasons women reach out for help. President Charmaine Wickham Howe says SMAT now has over 600 dues-paying members, and she personally receives at least 3 requests for assistance every day. She says most appeals are for basic food items, while many pregnant mothers are also seeking maternity essentials. The association has even shut down its Facebook Messenger because of the overwhelming volume of daily messages. After food, Wickham Howe says the most urgent need is shelter, whether due to eviction, financial hardship, or unsafe home environments. She adds that many former URP and CPAP workers, including single mothers, are still unemployed despite attending the government's national recruitment drive. SMAT will host a mental health day and job fair on November 22nd at Woodford Square, and Wickham Howe is calling on the government to reserve 10% of state housing for single mothers, similar to allocations for protective services. In international news, Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk says an explosion on a railway line leading to the Ukraine border was an unprecedented act of sabotage. Visiting the scene Monday, Tusk confirmed the blast deliberately damaged the tracks and was likely intended to blow up a passing train. No one was injured. After an emergency security meeting, officials said there is a very high chance the attack was ordered by foreign services. While Russia was not named, Poland has faced a series of arson and sabotage attempts it links to Moscow's hybrid warfare. The explosion occurred along the crucial Warsaw to Lublin route used to deliver aid to Ukraine. Investigators are also probing a second apparent sabotage incident where another train was forced to stop suddenly. Authorities say explosives were definitely used, and police are reviewing security footage to identify suspects. The government has vowed to find those responsible, warning there is no place on earth they can hide. And that is news at this time.
That was News Now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio.
Ho, ho, ho! This Christmas, small businesses, this one's just for you. Get your brand, your product, your business in front of thousands every single day on New Era TT Radio, NETT Radio, and Gael Caribbean TV. And here's the gift you've been waiting for. Radio and television advertising has never been more affordable anywhere else. We are talking unbelievable real rates. Prices no one else can offer you for primetime slots that put your business right where your customers are watching and listening. So, call us today at 299-5156 and turn your Christmas into real results and real profits with affordable advertising so you too can say Merry Christmas.
Charm Flair Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop, located at number 1 Industrial Lane, Charm Flair, right opposite the brewery on the Eastern Main Road. Yes, we do it all. Repairs to all makes and models, from your everyday sedan to SUVs, light trucks, pickups, and panel vans. We're also the sole distributors of Davanti tires, certified VTS inspection station, plus a wide range of services: oil change, front end and suspension repairs, tune-ups, tire alignment, batteries, electrical work, radiator and cooling system, AC repairs, and accessories galore. We offer pickup and drop-off service too. Call us today at 662-6545 or 662-6572. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Charmflair Auto Services Limited, number 1 Industrial Lane, Charmflair. We do it all.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
There's no Christmas like Christmas on New Era TT Radio.
The other day I went Venezuela and I fall in love with a señorita. I hardly know the lingo, but I really know what she know.
It's a time for giving, caring, and sharing.
It's things like this that get me mad. Who stole the rubbish from my yard?
A time for loving and remembering what really matters most. Greater than from our family to yours. Merry Christmas and a blessed season from New Era TT Radio. NETT Radio.
All right, so we are back. At least I'm back. I'm not seeing the rest of the team as yet.
Yeah, I'm working on mine.
While when there's all sorts of business in the background.
Right, okay. I have my mic on.
Yes, yes.
All right. Good.
All
right.
Right. So just before we look to wrap up, let me do a little house cleaning on the inside. See if Richard will join us back here. Coming up inside of the Drive Time Exchange this afternoon, people, with Tony Fraser. Remember, that's your next engagement on the YouTube feed and Facebook at 4 o'clock this afternoon. What does economist Rebecca Gukul think of the government's plan for the economic revival? Is it viable and achievable? But you can listen to her on the Drive Time Exchange from 4:05 this afternoon. And after that conversation, he has politician Steve Alvarez talking about the need for political transformation. All right, so he's neither PNM or UNC, so you get to hear a different view. So that's happening inside of the Drive Time with Tony Fraser. And inside of our community corner, just to let you know that there's this fundraiser that is on for Marty, Kevin Ferrero. He's a cancer patient and they're raising funds for him. And they have this fundraiser on November the 28th, starting at 9 p.m. It's going to be at the lobby. That's at Paris Suites. And you can get your tickets at timetolime.com. Right? They have a number of great artists and things passing through that event. So go out and support Marty at this fundraiser, November 28th at the lobby at Paris Suites. I suppose that is San Fernando, right? And don't forget, this Friday, we live at Rumbox.
Yeah, I find you're saying that, you're not saying that like how Richard just talk about the foul cock.
Foul cock.
Yeah,
Well,
you have to say it like, you have to let Richard advertise that line. Yeah, Richard had to talk about that line, like how he's get people to come to see foul cock.
Richard, step inside.
I just wanted to mention that Exxon that you were talking about was really finalized under the People's National Movement. they talked about Exxon coming back, and you were talking as if Exxon was a UNC thing. It wasn't a UNC
No,
thing.
well, I remember I told you I was reading something off the thing. I only heard it. I didn't know who was responsible for it, but I was just raising it in the
about Exxon here before the election. Remember, they were talking. They were bringing in Exxon under Stuart Young. They were bringing in Exxon had agreed to the Deepwater part, and they were signing off on the leases or whatever it was. So I think when it transitioned to the new government, it just was completed at that point, but it started under the PNM.
Well, I didn't. I wasn't trying to take away that from anybody. I was just raising that as
but Sir Charles, you might have hit on something, because of how they're treating and leaving out Dr. Munilal. He may be doing something. He may be onto something in terms of highlighting things that the last government was doing. You understand? Because they've been leaving him out. You understand? So it might have been deliberate by him to raise the issue of Exxon.
Yeah, but he was raising a number of revenue generating projects that are on stream. That will bring us some sort of significant amount of revenue at some point in time. I don't know if it's near future or thing, but clearly Mr. Obike doesn't believe that those things that he are hearing has any merit, really. I didn't get that from.
But I mean, it's good that Dr. Munilal getting a chance to talk about energy. That's good.
Well, Exxon is an unknown. Remember, they're exploring deep waters, which is always an unknown in a certain level. On a certain level, it's an unknown. So I suppose that's why it's all part of that whole risk profile if you're in the energy sector. So we'll see how they all plays out. But of course, it's in the interest of the country that Exxon succeeds and hopefully finds, gas, etc., in those deep waters. So
yeah. Isn't Exxon also involved in the Guyana exploration?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, any news that is good for Trinidad and Tobago, I agree. What I found was strange yesterday, because I don't know if you all saw the statement from the Prime Minister last evening in response to Dr. Rowley's press conference. Now, why would it have taken Dr. Rowley to do a whole press conference for you to give those kind of reassurances to the country? Those are the kind of reassurances that we needed all the time. That we are not involved in any war. We are not assisting in any staging of any war against Venezuela. Those are the things that we wanted to hear all the time. Why did it take that press conference from Dr. Rowley for you to come to the country and tell us that? You understand? To reassure us. Because I felt good. I felt better after listening yesterday to both of them, actually. I felt good after listening to Dr. Rowley, but I felt even better after listening to the Prime Minister, to reading her statement. Yeah. That we are not involved in this thing and we will not put the country at risk. That's the kind of news we wanted to hear all the time.
Yeah, because I think people were are very anxious about the whole situation and how it affects Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
And which is why we always say on this show, how we reach here? How we get to this
point?
That we discussing this, and of course it's because of statements made by the Prime Minister. Quite frankly, Wendell.
Yes.
Statements made by the Prime Minister that has contributed to the anxiety of a lot of citizens in the country.
Yeah. So it's good that statement finally came out, even if it is in response to what Dr. Rowley was saying. You understand? Because nothing Dr. Rowley said was wrong. Right? But at the same time, I wish I could see personally tell Dr. Rowley why he's stressing out himself with this country. Oh Lord, enjoy retirement. This country you don't need that stress. Trust me.
Well, I suppose Dr. Rowley is, I suppose because he's been so involved in the in doing it for 10 years roughly, he feels the need to speak up, and anytime he speaks, he gets an audience. Huh?
Oh yes. Well, he explained it yesterday, that he is speaking, and he is still a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago at the end of the day, and he has his investment of his children and grandchildren are there. They are there, and he can't ignore that fact. You know what I mean? So
in speaking to Mr. Obika, remember we were talking about that whole issue of foreign investment, and there is an article in the Newsday today where the Prime Minister addresses that foreign investment is vital to revitalization, to that whole revitalization blueprint, I assume is what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Persad on November 17th restated her government's ambitious economic transformation agenda, stressing its new revitalization blueprint will diversify the economy, expand foreign investment, and create more than 50,000 jobs, with recruitment for thousands already underway. So, I mean, obviously they're putting a lot of their hopes into that revitalization blueprint. And so, and as we always say on this program, we are Trinidad and Tobago. We are passionate about Trinidad and Tobago. So whatever will work. And I know sometimes, anytime you're doing things like this, you will always have naysayers. And people will, anytime you're trying to do things dramatically, because Patrick Manning had his naysayers when he was doing things dramatically. And I've always maintained he was one of the few that had an actual vision.
Yeah.
Whether you agreed with it or not, he had a vision. And certainly he transformed the waterfront and transformed Port of Spain to a certain degree, and did it with intention. And certainly if Patrick Manning was still in power and didn't call an early election that caused mayhem and bacchanal, we probably would have had that rapid rail.
Yes.
Because he was passionate about it and transforming how the country was. And sometimes you just had to go for it, yes, I guess. You just go for it.
Well, as I say, Jolene John would have been part of all of that back then also too, eh?
Yeah,
so she understands that vision. She understands, and if she is allowed to do what I think she wants to do, then fine. All the best for Trinidad and Tobago. You understand?
Yeah.
So let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah, that's all we do at this point. But anyway, this is where we wrap up the breakfast show this morning. Of course, you would have heard the conversation, and of course, we'll speak to you bright and early tomorrow morning, which will be Wednesday and midweek already. God, time just seems to be flying.
It's just humping. Just hump day coming is just as often as they could now.
Yeah. And that's the only hump you get in these days.
Yeah, so I kind of excited for it. Anyway, my apologies again for today, but
you have to share that privately.
What's that?
The book you get.
Immigration, because I was doing the program on my phone inside the place, and they said, excuse me, and they pointed to the sign. You understand? I said, oh God, I'm not engaging them, I'm just listening for the time being. She was most pleasant with me, so I was thankful that, because I was told that I could have been charged. They could have confiscated my phone and charged me. I said, Lord, all this drama, boy.
If you had said the wrong things, and you made the wrong things this morning.
I'm always pleasant with people, trust me.
The only plus, or something like that happening, the chance would be we could hear it in real time.
Yes, I get it.
I teasingly asked her, I say, you want to do an interview on radio now? I can put you on radio.
On that phone! Put your hands behind your back! Oh my God.
Yeah. You would have get live. This show would have gone viral.
Oh God. So now you know. Join the show after you leave immigration.
Boy, what happened is that they asked everybody, the in-transit people, because of how everything was delayed, they asked in-transit people to exit the plane. The plane actually landed earlier than they said they were landing. They landed before 7. So I said, good. Yeah. And then the announcement come, allow the in-transit people to come out first. So everything just, it happens for a good, I guess. You know, because I thought you were brilliant with Tahaka, Richard. Yeah. All right, guys. Tomorrow, please God, remember to let go and let God. I have work to do.
Yep. So, New Era TT Radio continues on newerattradio.com and on TuneIn, New Era TT Radio. Keep listening. Have a fantastic day, whatever you do, and remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. Thanks for joining us. We know you have a choice, and we're glad that you chose us on The Breakfast Show. This has been, as I just said, The Breakfast Show. Have a great day.
Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show.